I am Jeff Biggs, host of the Cowboys Squad Show, and not only do the Cowboys have 7 wins this season, they now have 7 Pro Bowlers. Congrats to Cavante Turpin.
I am Marcus Mosher, and I hate the Pro Bowl.
Marcus, I'm Iisha Morrison, and I also kind of hate the Pro Bowl, but I'm not gonna say it like how Marcus said it.
Nice.
Glenn Stretch Smith, I'll hit the trifecta. I don't have anything else to say. I'm not a fan of the Pro Bowl, so we'll hit the trifecta with it.
Let's do it.
How about them Cowboys? It's the Cowboys Squad. Everything Dallas Cowboys every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from America's team, the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Cowboys Squad Show, starting now.
And to be fair, my focus really was on Cavante Turpin making it and being number 7 for the Cowboys. Not really the game itself. That thing died years ago. But
I don't care about that either. I care about Cavante Turpin making it. That's all.
Exactly. Well said. And welcome to another edition of the Cowboys Squad Show. Big show for you tonight over the next hour. We've got Iisha multiple shows Morrison back with us. Had to do something with M, so multiple is what I came up with before.
You telling my business, man.
Co-host of the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast, Marcus Mosher, crushing it every day with Landon McCool, and of course, the one and only former Cowboys coach, Glenn Stretch Smith. Coming up on our show, the very latest with the Cowboys and their new defensive coordinator. Also, kind of an eventful weekend for a couple of former Cowboys. We'll take a little dive into that as well. And Super Bowl 60 is now all set. But as always, we've got to start things off with the big news. Marcus, the hiring of Christian Parker literally broke like hours before we did our show on Thursday. I know you and Landon did a show later on. We've all had kind of a few days to kind of soak this in and do a deeper dive. So what do we know about Christian Parker, and do you like the hire?
I do like the hire because it's something outside of their comfort zone. I think the Cowboys are at their best when they reach beyond people that they've been buddies with before or have previously played for the franchise, or their dad knows this person. Like we saw this last year with Clayton Adams. They hired Clayton Adams as their offensive coordinator. Phenomenal. We'll see if that works out for Christian Parker, but everybody you talk to talks about how smart and innovative and intelligent he is. And I've liked some of the guys that they've already requested interviews with to bring onto the staff. I think the only way the Cowboys get back to being relevant in the NFC is by taking big swings. Just trying to play everything right down the middle is not going to get this franchise over the top. And I think Christian Parker, again, he's going to need some time to learn how to be a play caller. I think he's going to need to build a good staff, but I am excited about the direction of the franchise for the first time in a long time.
Nice. Iisha, what about you?
I know Coach hates it, but I'm excited about the hire as well. For the same reasons that Marcus talked about, just them kind of thinking outside the box. But I did touch base with a scout that I had the pleasure of meeting when I was at the Senior Bowl. Worked for the Philadelphia Eagles for a couple years, and I assistant scout, by the way. And it sounds like this gentleman was very well received in the building, very credible in the building. And one of the biggest things that I guess that you look at when you talk about a coach is like also too, I know coaches talked about it. How well do they communicate with the front office, with the scouts, with those things? How are they communicating what it is that their envision is? And that's something coach talked about, what they're envisioning for the team, and how well do they communicate it to the folks that ultimately make those decisions. It sounds like this gentleman is very good and clear and thorough in what it is he is looking for in a secondary body type, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's important, especially when you talk about how important we've talked about, and we're going to talk about that 12 and 20 pick is. You need a DC that understands exactly what it is he's trying to put together and can teach it. So I understand he's going to need some, filler with learning how to be a play caller. But as far as understanding each position in that secondary, it seems like this gentleman really gets it. I'm excited for him. So yeah, that's what I think. I'm excited about the hire.
Coach, anything come to you over the weekend?
I mean that, it obviously it feels like an upgrade from what they were doing, the direction that they're going. I don't know anything about him other than, I mean, some people that I have talked to that have worked with him, and they speak highly of him. That doesn't mean that, in my mind, that doesn't mean that he's a great play caller. I think it's going to take some time. I do hope, or my want is for him to get, maybe one or two really experienced guys that can help him a little bit, that can help him grow. Because you hear about the fact that he's a really smart guy and understands thoroughness, and I think that's. I think that's a big deal. But at the end of the day, they got to get better players. I mean, we need to kind of. I'm almost to the point now where, okay, great, they got a defensive coordinator. Now they got to go upgrade this football team, and however they choose to do that, and whoever they choose to listen to, and however much cachet each one of these guys have, whether it's Will McClay, whether it's the area scout, or whether it's Schottenheimer and a combination of both. At this point, the focus needs to be make sure that you pick the right guys in this situation.
Coach, can I ask you about something else really quickly? Because
no.
All right, go ahead and go to the break. No, here's one of the things I know you were concerned about. Parker being able to choose his own staff. We got some word today that the Cowboys moved on from their linebacker coach, their secondary coach, and their defensive passing game coordinator. Does it make you feel better about the hire, knowing that Parker is having a big say with his staff and bringing in guys that he actually wants to work with, rather than just trying to cobble together the guys that they already had on this roster?
You talking about coaches that they already have?
Coaches, yes.
Yeah.
What would make me feel better would be the head coach recognizing that what he saw on that side of the ball all year wasn't very good. Wasn't coached very well. It wasn't put together very well, and nor was it communicated very well. That's that. So if you want me to have a feel good, that would make me feel better. But having a defensive coordinator that's a young guy that you can, hey, if you feel confident that he can go in and he can actually put together a good staff with a little bit of coaching from maybe Schottenheimer or maybe someone that is a more veteran guy, I mean, I'm fine with that. I watched enough this year of bad technique. I watched enough this year of what I felt like was poor coaching. I don't want to get on here and blast anybody. That's just it's not who I am. But
you could see it on tape. Like
it wasn't well put together. I mean, you see guys playing cover two. When they play cover two, it means you got, if you're not blitzing, which you're not, if you're playing cover two, that means you got 5 underneath players. And if all 5 underneath players are playing with shitty technique, then that's not good. It's that simple. I mean, I'm too old to get on here and say anything. I'm sorry if it offend anybody. It's bad technique. It was bad technique, and it was over and over and over. And so that tells me that either they didn't know what they were doing or guys weren't listening to what they were teaching. And I just go by what I see on the film and how I look at it, because the one thing about it is your eyes don't lie. I mean, you can't skew a square peg into a round hole. And so they needed to hear some different voices. That's nothing against Borgonzi or Overstreet or whoever. I mean, I came on here early in the year and I said, this is not good. This is not good what they put together. This is not good. I didn't go to training camp. I don't go out there and watch them. But I mean, if you can't teach a guy how to pedal day one and understand how, if a guy comes off and outside releases, you can't get your ass to pedal outside and push him to the middle safety. That is Buster Simpleton coaching. Simpleton, day one. And I don't have any patience for that.
Marcus, you talked about, you were asking Coach how he felt about, Parker being able to come in and put together his own, kind of staff. Sounds like Jordan Schultz reported that the Dallas Cowboys have requested to interview Steelers outside linebacker coach Denzel Martin for their linebacker coordinator role. How do you gentlemen feel about that?
Well, I mean, as somebody who has followed him for a long time up here, near Pittsburgh, he's an incredible coach. I mean, he has a fantastic track record of being able to develop these guys. And I think what's interesting is those outside linebackers in Pittsburgh, they got to do it all. They've got to rush the passer. They've got to stop the run. They got to be able to play in coverage. And I wonder if the Cowboys and Christian Parker are going to be looking for more of these edge defenders that are comfortable dropping into zones and playing better against the run and, being more comfortable playing in space. And I think he's one of the best in the league at doing that. So if they're able to pull that off, to me, that's a home run hire. We'll see what Pittsburgh wants to do if they want to retain him, depending on who they hire to be their defensive coordinator. But that's an outstanding coach that I think would be a real asset for the Cowboys if he's hired.
Yeah, it gives you an idea of kind of, even if this doesn't work out, kind of what they're going for, and that they definitely see things in the way you're talking about. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we mentioned that did come down the pipe this today.
So let me ask you this, Marcus. You and Landon did an episode today on the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast, talking about which current Cowboy players could potentially benefit the most from Christian Parker's hiring. What was your final takeaway from that going into the roster?
I think most of it is just in the second round, just because I think those guys are going to get better coaching. And again, that's not to disparage anybody that was on the coaching staff from, the previous, regime. But I think Christian Parker is somebody who really specializes in technique and fundamentals. And I think guys like Savon Ravel, and Coach, you and I talked about it, all year long, about how off his technique was and how he was kind of lazy as in some of the back pedal and turning. Not a lazy player, but some of the technique was lazy. I think those guys are going to get some awesome coaching over the next couple of years, and we'll see if Ravel can turn out. But it's not going to be an excuse, that he didn't get good enough coaching, because I think Parker's going to be able to help him there.
All right.
Is this a universal question? Are you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, please.
Okay, I guess mine would be the inverse, is that, this pass rush that we're looking to kind of come together, hopefully in the upcoming year, is hopefully going to benefit from having better coverage on the back end. I mean, I know that everyone's like, if you don't get enough pass rush, then you're not going to be able to get turnovers and things like that. I mean, but at the same time, some coverage sacks would be nice. People not just being able to do quick outs and stuff on you all day, every day, and guys just being wide open in the damn flat would be helpful. You know what I'm saying? So I think that the front seven will also benefit from them. But yeah, to your point, the secondary has been abysmal. Like, it's crazy to think, like, for 3 years almost, I feel like even the years that Dallas got to the playoffs, going into the playoffs, they were literally pulling people off the street to be ready to play. So between injury and availability and guys not working out, it's been long overdue that the secondary gets some love.
Remember when Xavier Rhodes started a playoff game for the Cowboys?
Marcus, you so messy.
Well, I'm trying to think.
How you bring up that?
There was who was the safety? They had a 6'4" safety. Oh, Israel Makamu started a game against the 49ers in the slot. Like, you're right. Like, it's just been bad. It's been a bad situation here. And I'm hoping now that they've got a defensive coordinator who specializes as a secondary coach, I would think that you're going to see the floor raised, not only for your stars like Deron Bland, but for the entire roster.
All right.
What about you, Coach?
When was the last time that a secondary coach or a defensive coordinator in this building spoke with conviction about who to draft?
It's been a long time, probably since you were there.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, so the point I'm making is if you look at what they've done or how they've done it, they're almost scared. They're scared to draft secondary guys. Why are they? Why? They don't want that first round. They don't want that first round. If you don't get it right, you think they want that tied to them?
what 3 first-round corners since 2000, right? You had Terrence Newman, you had Mike Jenkins, and Morris Claiborne. I think those are your only 3.
It was Morris Claiborne was the last one.
Yeah.
Right. So you see what I'm saying? So if you don't have conviction, if you don't have and you don't feel strong about going in and saying, hey, I don't care. I mean, I'll just take D'Angelo Pons, right? Let's just throw a name out there. He's a 5'9" corner. Okay. But some guys like, yeah, man, I want a 6'1" guy. I watched Surtain yesterday run and reach, and boy, you see the length these guys. So you have to have a coach that can speak with conviction about guys, because the days of having scouts speak about conviction, in my mind, are over. A lot of scouts today are hunters and gatherers of information. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they allow them to really have a say when it comes time to pull the trigger. I'm talking about when it comes time to absolutely yank the guy off the board and tell him he's your number whatever pick early in the draft. Do those guys have the conviction, or do they go, oh, man, God, I watched him play 2 really good games, but man, I watched him get roasted here. You got to have guys that speak with conviction, because it's not Jerry just pulling the trigger in there. And so speaking with conviction means you know what you want, you know what can fit into your system, and then you're able to go coach those guys to the next level. And I mean, the time is now. We sit and talk about pass rush. Yeah, I get it. You want a guy, you want a guy blowing it off the edge. I got that. You want a guy in the middle who can take the guard in the center and dog walk him back to the quarterback. I get it. But how about having a snake out there that can shut down half of the field? How about having that guy? They're out there, but does this staff or does this guy, has he seen enough? Does he have enough point of reference to know what it really means to be that guy? I don't know. I guess the jury's out, and we'll find out.
And
but you don't have time in this organization to miss.
No, they don't.
There's no more missing.
One of my fears, coach, is that when coaches get involved in the draft process, they're always looking for the things you can't coach, which is traits. It's big, fast, long, right? We don't need any more projects in Dallas, right? You need guys that can come in and play right away, because, a lot of times you draft these first-round corners that have the length, they have the size, but they have no feel for the position. Those are the guys that get targeted a bunch in the rookie season and they lose confidence. That would be my fear of letting a defensive coordinator pick his guys.
Okay, well, let's play the game. Okay, but let's play the game fine. I'm fine with what you're saying. Okay, do you know any of those scouts that are going to say, I tell you what, man, this guy's better than that guy? This guy do that.
I hope
do you
they
know
have
anybody
the
that does
conviction,
that?
but I don't know.
Because I'm telling you, they don't. They're worried about their job.
Right.
I'm talking about go in there and say, hey, this guy is better than whoever that is. We don't have to sit here and name players.
We'll do that on the show
hey,
as we
you've got him ranked right here. You got him ranked A, B, and C. And this guy C, he's in my area. And oh, by the way, I saw him play all 8 games. And you've got A ranked up there. And oh, by the way, I saw him playing 4. Let me tell you, C is better than A. Do you know any of those guys that will do that?
No, I don't think so.
Right, because that's your ass if he's wrong.
Right.
You're out of the league.
Yeah, we're learning that. I'm actually learning that in school right now. It's like, as a scout, being on the fence is a no-no.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to trust yourself, like Coach was talking about, but you're also trying to convey and gain trust from the people who make those decisions. And so you have to be sure in what you're seeing to be able to, put it into fruition of what you're trying to get. So, I mean, we talked about this, man. Like, this is it's kind of serious. You know what I'm saying? Like this whole thing with Dallas this year. I was just talking to somebody the other day, like, this season is so huge. And this decision, I think this defensive coordinator decision, the staff that he puts together is so intricate to Dak Prescott's career and how people are going to view him. You know what I'm saying? Like, we talk about the windows and all these things. And one thing with Dallas is that, to, Marcus's point last week, is like, there's been this musical chairs of defensive coordinator. You got to hit this nail on the head So you can have something, you can have values like Coach was talking about. You can have values and stuff that translate because guys are going to go. Guys are going to get new jobs. Guys are going to elevate and stuff. You're not going to be able to keep a guy forever, but you need to have foundational things that you do well, know what the hell you do well, know what the hell you scout well. Be honest with yourself. And corner, like you guys are talking about, it just has been, it's been rough. And I maybe them choosing Parker is them fessing up to the fact that they know that they have failed at this position and that they haven't had the progress that they're supposed to be having there. And it's hurt them. It's hurt them. So,
Great
I
point.
wondered. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, guys.
No, great point, Iisha. Thank you. All of you. Great point. All right. When we come back, we have even more coaching news. A couple of notes we'll get into when we come back. A lot to get to. Great start. Thanks for being with us. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. All right. I want to talk to you about what they're doing over at Prize Picks because the big game is almost here and there is no better way to stay locked into every moment than with Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where it always feels good to be right. Now, with football season coming down, its final stretch, now is the perfect time. Boy, they got locked in there. They got stretch in there. They're using all of them. I like it. Now is the perfect time to close it out strong. Prize Picks makes watching the game even more exciting by letting you build simple lineups around your player projections. No drafts, no waiting, just football action all the way through the playoffs. Now, it's a great way to keep playing fantasy football if you're into that, even after the season league games are finished, right? But also they have this early payouts feature, which lets you cash out if a player gets off to a hot start. I mean, that's big right there. And the new social feed makes it fun to follow friends, share lineups, and get inspiration from other players, and also being able to mix in stars from different teams to build lineups that fit how you watch the game. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL, $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, we are back. Cowboy Squad Show. Marcus Mosher, Iisha Morrison, and former Cowboys coach Glenn Stretch Smith. All right, so after officially hiring Christian Parker away from Philadelphia, Cowboys also made another move that affected the Eagles. They denied the Eagles' request to speak with the aforementioned Clayton Adams about their OC job. So how sweet was that? And what's that going to do to the rivalry? This little gamesmanship going on and coaches moving.
I mean, there was no way the Cowboys were ever going to let Clayton Adams leave. Now, I think there was a chance that maybe Clayton Adams does want to eventually call plays, and maybe that's going to help him get a head coaching job. Dallas was never going to allow that to happen with the Philadelphia Eagles. So to me, this is a no-brainer. But what I actually think is really funny, Jeff, and I'd love to talk to Coach about this, but the Eagles have interviewed like 12 different offensive coordinator candidates, and a bunch of them have withdrawn their names or said no or decided to stay elsewhere. Coach, is it really that bad of a job? You would think with all the investments that Philadelphia has made in their offense that you would see coaches flocking to that job, but that doesn't seem to be the case.
Well, I mean, let me ask you, if you had to go take a job as a coordinator and you don't get any say in the staff, is that a very appealing job to you?
No, but I'm also going to leave my personal feelings about Nick Sirianni out of this.
I'm just saying, I have to take the head coach out of it. If you're going in and you're fully aware of what's going on in the NFL, and you're fully aware that, that you have an offensive line coach who's maybe the best in the game, and Jeff Stoutland, you have a staff that's already in place, what would be appealing? You're the one that's always you're always shotting ass with these young guys. What's appealing to one of those guys to take that job?
Nothing. And I think it's a lot.
Right. So hang on. So yes, it's a good organization. Yes, you're working for Howie Roseman. Yes, it's a, I mean, we could argue what kind of place Philadelphia is. You can get over there to Cherry Hills and find you a nice place to live if that's.
Who wouldn't want to live in Pennsylvania, Stretch? That sounds awful.
Yeah. You don't want to have to get on the Ben Franklin every day and saunter across there. So yeah, you can make it a decent situation. But the point I'm making is what is appealing about a job where you got to kind of keep everybody, and the offensive line coach he's obviously got very firm things that he believes in, right? You don't want to go in there day one and say, I don't want to block outside zone this way. I want to block it this way. Now you're day one entering, what is already a bantering situation. The point I'm making is just giving you an example. It doesn't sound like it's not the head coach or it's not the team. It's that you don't have any say in much of anything other than you're going in there to just take the title of being the OC. And I don't think that's a very appealing situation to some of these guys who have maybe other options.
So if Nick Sirianni called you up tomorrow and asked you if you want to come in for an interview, would you say no?
I mean, I'd go into interviews so I could give you the whole scoop of the interview. I'd tell him, I'm not here to interview for the job. Give me the inside take on this, so I can go to the guy with the Locked On Cowboys podcast and tell him exactly what's going on in this organization.
Y'all are sick. But both of y'all together are sick. Jeff, why you didn't tell me that they act like this when they together? Because y'all a mess. But listen. I'm sorry I was over here cackling. I had to mute myself because anytime Philly is struggling, I find it amusing. I'm never going to listen. Just remember that about me. I'll be a professional in front of everybody, but I'm a cackle from behind the scenes. It's funny to me because of obviously, Marcus talked about the structure, Coach talked about the structure, like what people are going into. That's why it's not appealing. But also too, I've talked to a couple of the beat reporters down there as well. That had some insight too, that some of the coaches in these interviews expressed concern for safety, especially in regard to their families, because it sounds like Kevin Patullo's home was located by fans and was vandalized to some degree.
That's bad.
And we can talk about the football and all that stuff, but Coach, you know better than anybody. I ain't trying to have my kids and my wife or whomever just anywhere. And if this is something that I'm already subjugating them to a lot of ridicule anyway, but we would be lying if we didn't say that some of this is heightened in certain fan bases and things like that. So I think that that's something it's a small thing, maybe in the grand scheme of things, but it's something that I heard was brought up as well with some of the interviews.
Well, I think Dan Campbell a year ago he changed addresses because somebody had gotten a hold of his address, and I mean he was taking some heat. I mean that's way stepping out of bounds. But I mean today's when you have the gambling piece and all the things that can you imagine how many people have the red ass today at Sean Payton for not kicking that field goal in that scenario. I mean, seriously, think about it. And if you're wagering the kind of money that some of these people are wagering, it is. I mean, that to me, that's what kind of takes it to the whole nother level. Is the gambling piece of it. And yeah, we promote it. And yes, if you can do it responsibly, I guess some people like it. I couldn't be any more against gambling on football. I think it's the worst proposition bet you can make. Seriously, it might be the worst proposition bet you can make. But people are going to do it. And hey, if that's what you choose to do, it's your business. But I just think that's the piece to me that's taken it to a whole nother level.
Yeah, the dangers and stuff like that. I agree. Players have come out, talked about things they've experienced as well. But like I said, I just wanted to, you guys gave y'all some of y'all's reasons. I was laughing. I wanted to just mention some of the things that I heard as well that sound like have mattered to a couple of these coaches, which is crazy to think about, but yeah.
That's cool. We can watch you react, Iisha, and then we can hear Coach talk. And that's the beauty of this show and having these 4 boxes together. It's like 2 shows in one.
Yeah, I was over here screaming when Marcus said, "Hell yeah!" You think it's weird that they've had?
It's just knowing a little bit of what I know about that situation. I don't think Nick Sirianni is the easiest coach to work with. And you're going into a situation that's already a little toxic. You're not going to get a ton of say over the staff. You're going to be running his style of offense. Yes, you get to call plays, but he's going to interject. I'm not surprised that they've had a rough coaching search. That doesn't mean that they're not going to find the right guy, but I don't think that job is as desirable as you would think it should be, considering they just won the Super Bowl 12 months ago.
Yeah, and if you question it all, just get in your car and drive down there on the corner of Broad and Patterson and just say hello to a few people and see how it turns out for you.
Please.
Again, Coach, people here in PA, we don't have a lot going on, so we really care.
Oh, seriously, go down. Seriously, just do that. Go down there. Just get your giblet ass in a car and drive down there to Broad and Patterson and get out and say hello to some people. And see how well you get received down there.
I know we got to move on, but I do have one more question in regard to them when it comes to that job being appealing or not. Do you 2 gentlemen think that the quarterback has peaked?
Yeah.
For that team,
Yeah,
I think what the quarterback is what that quarterback is, and whoever comes in is going to have to navigate that. Sorry.
No, I don't think it's a coincidence. Someone like Mike McDaniel had no interest in that Philly job, but he was more than willing to go take the Chargers job. I think that tells you a lot about what the perception is of Jalen Hurts around the NFL.
Okay, I was being messy. Sorry, Jeff.
Well, I mean, are you saying it has nothing to do with would you rather watch the waves roll in, or would you rather look at the Schuylkill every day?
The location is big too.
Some people like the snow up here.
Huh?
Some people like the nice cold weather, all the different seasons.
I'm sure it's wonderful, but I'm saying, would you rather?
Well,
in that
case,
would you rather go out to Venice and take your family out and have a good day at the beach? Or would you rather go catch one of those 4-eyed fish out of the Schuylkill? I'm just asking you.
I mean, my answer based on where I'm living at right now, so I'm the wrong person to ask.
Oh, you're sick. I knew there was something wrong with you. What? You like being up there in the cold like that?
No, he doesn't like it at all. He do you understand, Iisha? You're smarter than that. I've been on here with you, about 10 times? You're smarter than that. Just see right through the fact that he's talking himself out of being, just completely out of it because he watches it snow about 4 inches. This is the
only social interaction I get all week, Iisha. This is great.
So you saying that's what's wrong with him? That's what's wrong with him.
100%.
Okay. It explains everything. Okay, it makes sense. Okay, Jeff, my bad. Sorry. I know I shouldn't have asked my question.
That's the beauty of the show. You never know where it's going to go. That's awesome. That's why I love doing it. One other note real quick, and we'll go to our break. The Cowboys reportedly interviewing as well Eagles linebackers coach Ronell Williams, and could poach him as well. What do you guys know about him, if anything?
Their linebacker play has been I think it's been better in the last couple of years. I just like that they trying to steal. It's cool to me. Because, I mean, Marcus, like, am I tripping? Like, this doesn't seem like something. They're not I hate to use the word, but they're not stealers like this. Like, for them to be, I'm going to coach your guy.
And this is a guy that has been around for a while. Obviously, Christian Parker worked with him in Philadelphia the last couple of years. I would assume this is going to happen because I'm not sure that Philadelphia can block him going from an assistant linebacker coach to a actual linebacker coach or the full-time linebacker coach. Again, no inside information here, but I wouldn't be surprised if that happens.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. This is not the linebacker coach. This is the assistant to the linebacker coach. You can't. The one thing you can't do in the NFL is make a lateral move. You can't lateral move. That's why the Cowboys declined the option for a lateral move of Clayton Adams. You can't make a lateral move, but it's not a lateral move if you're the assistant linebacker coach. Now you're coming to be the linebacker coach. So, I'm sure this is somebody that Kristen is probably comfortable with and would like. Maybe he is going to go hire that, that experienced guy, and he'd like somebody else in the room that can help coach what he's been around.
All right. Stay tuned. So, hey, they're still working on it. Still more hires to come. We will look forward to that. When we come back, though, some news for some other former Cowboys. Want to get your thoughts on that, and we'll get to some of the comments as well. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. All right, I want to talk to you about what's going on at Indeed, because it's that time of the year, as we've been talking about. And if you've ever hired someone who looked good on paper but wasn't the right fit, you know how important that is. When you want candidates who truly match what you're looking for, trust Indeed sponsored jobs. Now, if you're hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed's sponsored jobs puts your post at the top of the page and helps you reach the right candidate faster. Now, if you need to hire someone and instead of struggling to get your job post seen, Indeed sponsored jobs helps your listing stand out and really reach quality candidates even faster. Also, the sponsored jobs boost your post to the people who are the best match for your role. That makes a difference. And according to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed are 90% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. So spend more time interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes with less stress, less time, more results using Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help you give the job the premium placement it deserves at Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL. Just go to Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL right now. Support the show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. All right, welcome back. Cowboy Squad Show. Thanks for being with us on this Monday night. So, kind of an eventful weekend for a couple of former Cowboys. Wanted to hit on really quick. Former Cowboy DeMarcus Lawrence headed to the Super Bowl with Seattle. And since, as you know, the Cowboys get all kinds of pub and all kinds of things written. So immediately after the Super Bowl, all the articles came up with his quote about not winning a Super Bowl with the Cowboys. He said, quote, "Dallas is my home, but I know for sure I'm not going to win a Super Bowl there," talking about his move to the Seahawks. But that aside, what do you think of DeMarcus and the Seahawks going? What do you think of the game? And then we'll talk about another move coming up.
Iisha, why don't you go first? I want to hear your thoughts.
Huh? Why you want to hear my thoughts?
Go ahead.
I'm happy for, I think what Seattle's done. I love football. I love seeing the program figure it out. They got rid of people, brought people in, attacked free agency, went out and got a quarterback that people weren't really sure about, even so, when what he did in Minnesota. I like it. And the defense is so freaking fast. I mean, obviously, Cowboys defensive line coach, Adam Dirty, went up there, became their DC. And the fire that they play with, how fast that secondary is, and the way they get after the quarterback. Hey, Marcus, I don't know if you've taken time to look at their stunts, but they're very similar to what Dallas was doing before. But as far as Tank, it kind of feels weird because this is the second player that we're seeing get to a Super Bowl, after leaving a team, specifically a pass rusher. So I think it's just football and how it goes, but I'm sure that it really does rub fans the wrong way to see it. I'm happy for DeMarcus. I think he's been an underrated player for a long time. Sounds like Dallas shorted him quite a few times when he was here. He didn't like it, and he went somewhere else and achieved. So I'm happy for him. I was rooting for the Seahawks. I'm sorry. I was rooting for them. I want to see them get after it because the defense is just so explosive, y'all. I think that's how I felt about it. What about you, Marcus?
I mean, I was happy for DeMarcus Lawrence because, he spent a lot of time here in Dallas. He played his butt off. He played through injuries. And I think he came to the realization that it was time for him to move on. And I think obviously there was some clashing that happened with him and Micah Parsons. I think the really unfortunate thing is the Cowboys moved on from both of those players in the same offseason. They clearly didn't see eye to eye on a lot of different things. Micah goes on and has an all-pro year in Green Bay, and DeMarcus Lawrence goes and has a Pro Bowl year in Seattle, and they're one game away from winning the Super Bowl. I think it just shows you kind of where the culture was at of this Cowboys defense. Like, they had some talent, but clearly nothing was gelling together well on that side of the ball. And I don't know if it's because of the postseason failures, of the injuries, or the differences in age. Again, it could be a combination of all of those factors. But I'm happy that DeMarcus Lawrence, he spoke on what he thought was going to happen, and he's gone out and he's backed it up. So I've always been a fan of Tank, and I'm rooting for them in the playoffs.
Same.
Coach, you ever have a situation as a coach where you had a couple guys on your team that didn't get along, and you had to kind of deal with that, or even be in the middle of it sometimes?
Hell yeah, a bunch of times. Yeah, I mean, guys don't. I mean, that's part of it. I mean, I started as a young coach at Oklahoma, and I had two guys that, and it was one of my tight ends, and it was Coach Selman at the time had a defensive end, and I mean, they hated each other and went at each other every day. I'm talking about it was, and finally, I mean, I got to the point, I don't know, that's probably why I'm not in coaching anymore. I'd gotten to the point where I'd had enough, and you know what, I'd jump their ass, and I tell you what, I made them hold hands and walk around this field one time. You're serious? You want to jeopardize everybody else on this football field? You want to jeopardize your teammate because he took his helmet, ripped his helmet off, and tried to crown him with his helmet. And I did. I made him freaking hold hands all the way around the field. So yeah, I mean, that's part of what football's about. I mean, you have tons of alpha males that they are not all going to get along. That's almost impossible. But one of the first things that I would always say anytime I went into a meeting room is you look at the guy to your right, and you better tell him, you know what, you better tell him you love him. You better look at the guy to the left, you better tell him you love him. Because at the end of the day, this game takes all 11 guys, especially on the offensive side, doing exactly the right thing. And you got to play for the guy on either side of you. Whether you like him, dislike him, whatever the scenario is. I mean, you got guys that are family guys that are heavily inclined to go home to their family, and you got other guys that are headed to the lodge. I'll help you out. That's down there where Mercedes dances. You can go down there Friday night and get you whatever you want. So yeah, you got guys that see things on different levels. And I'm just being honest with you. If you're going to ask me a question, I'm going to give you an answer. That's how it is. And so guys see things differently, and you have to get guys to respect one another and have to love one another. The minute you walk into that building, once you walk out of that building, hey, you guys are going all kinds of different directions. And so that's life. I mean, I'd be willing to bet you that's in every office. It doesn't matter whether you're in football or not. Yeah. And there are guys that like each other, guys that don't like each other. But at the end of the day, you go play for the same cause. You get on that side of the rope, and you get to yanking on that rope so you can win the tug of war. Is that the answer you were looking for, Jeff? Or are you just going to stand around scratching?
Oh, that works. That's great. That was exactly what I was looking for.
I just want to know why we don't have this kind of culture on the show, Stretch. How come you don't build me up like that?
What? Y'all gonna hold hands? We walk around? Yep. Yeah, y'all sound like y'all need to hold hands and walk around. What y'all doing? Marcus, I want to ask you, do you think that, you know how a lot of people say, like Jerry and those gentlemen, they said that they had kind of been deciding that they wanted to trade Micah prior to, everything. It wasn't a out of nowhere thing that they decided to do. But I don't know. It's hard for me to think that Dallas would go into this year losing both of their starting edges. Do you think that they planned that? I mean, do you think it has any bearing? Yeah. So to me, the Tank, them letting go of Tank And then trading Micah is what made me feel like maybe the Micah thing was not in the plan, because there's no way you give up both edges, right?
Again, my assumption here is that
So we're assuming. Sorry.
I think DeMarcus Lawrence was ready for a change of scenery. And I think it was even Tank that said that the Cowboys didn't offer him a new deal once he hit free agency. So that's part of it. And for Micah, I do think they planned on him being there. That's why Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons sat down together in that infamous meeting. But I think over time it became more unrealistic that a deal was going to get done. And I think over the summers when they really contemplated, hey, does this make sense financially for us to do this? Or do we have more flexibility making a trade? And then once that stuff happened in the final preseason game, it became very obvious. But to answer your question, no, I don't think not only there's any way that, going into free agency, they thought they were going to be without both of their top 2 defensive ends. It just never would have made sense.
Jordan Lewis had a good season as well before he got injured. So
he did
played some good ball for the Jags. Nashawn Wright was a guy that they traded away last year, bounced around from Minnesota, ended up with the Bears, all pro year, Pro Bowl year, balled his tail off. So guys having success outside of here. That I guess that just happens though. It's football.
Ouch.
It sucks. I mean, we see it happen here. But I'm sure there's other teams that see it happen too. Imagine what Pittsburgh feels like about Pickens. They're like, what? He can run routes too? He can do all this? They get like, what? So, I mean, it happens.
Yeah. All right. Tell you what, let's take our final timeout. And speaking of the Steelers, I want to bring them up when we return. Also talk a little bit about the Super Bowl and some more Cowboys news and notes, as we like to say, as well. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. All right. What if sports were traded like markets? Well, now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. Now, it's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long using your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game, and it's people moving the action. So when the momentum shifts, you can move with it. Now, if you know the game, but really never had an opportunity, a dynamic way to apply that knowledge, well, now you can actually take part, live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. So trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk. Is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. All right, welcome back. Cowboy Squad Show, our final segment. Marcus, before we get rolling, what do you and Landon have coming up on the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast?
Yeah, it's a Senior Bowl week. We're going to get you ready for all of the top prospects down in Mobile. We're going to talk about some of our top players in this year's group. We had some tough, some big time talent pull out at the last minute, but there's still several guys on this list that could be options for the Cowboys in round 1. We'll take a look at some guys maybe down in the draft that fit Christian Parker's defense, that maybe fit what Clayton Adams wants to do on the offensive line. So we'll cover the Senior Bowl all week long. Make sure you check it out on the Locked On Cowboys podcast.
Do we know when they're going to have the official Christian Parker introductory news conference yet?
No, and honestly, they might not. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't have one. I would expect him to be down in Mobile this week looking for talent. So I wonder if we don't get it.
Okay, that's fair. So wanted to get your thoughts on this. Former Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy, the new head coach of the Steelers. That one surprised me a little bit. To me, it seems like they feel not quite ready to rip the Band-Aid off. They feel like, I'm assuming with their defense, that they maybe just a couple moves away and they can contend, especially because they won the division that's kind of watered down with injuries. Were you surprised? What did you think of the hire?
I can tell you what people here in Pittsburgh thought of the hire, and it's not been great. I can tell you that much. I think the thing that's happening with the Steelers right now is it's not that Mike McCarthy is a bad coach, because I don't think he is. I think he really knows the offensive side of the ball. I think he delegates well on defense. I just think Pittsburgh was looking for something different. In a lot of ways, it feels like Mike McCarthy is just the offensive version of Mike Tomlin, where the floor is relatively high, but what's the ceiling? I think this is a good time for them to take a shot on a younger head coach who's a little bit more innovative, who maybe has some fresh ideas. This just feels like more of the same for a franchise now that has not won a playoff game in the last 10 seasons.
Wow, it's been that long?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's been a while. People don't talk about it, but it's been that. Well, maybe
talk
Marcus.
about it 'cause
I was gonna say maybe Marcus talks about
I
it.
love it.
But that's the sentiment I got from a lot of the Pittsburgh folks as well, is that they were looking for something a little bit more innovative, a little bit more different. And also too, Marcus, I don't know about you or Coach, I mean, but when you watch the Steelers film, I remember even watching them and being like, oh, even last year, it was like, oh, Dallas shouldn't have as much trouble with them because they're very stagnant. They're very straight up and down. They're very much so, we're going to beat you just being the bigger, stronger team when it comes to their scheme. And we know football is evolving. So, I mean, defensively, we know what they have, but offensively, they've struggled for some time now. So I understand why people were ticked off. And their fans are definitely not happy. They feel like this is a safe move, Marcus. That's the energy I got from it.
Yeah, that's a good way to
Safe
put it.
is being nice. It just feels like a very middling move for a franchise that just hasn't wanted to take a big swing in decades.
How do you feel about it, Coach?
I mean, we talked about this all the time. There were 10 head coaching openings, 10, almost a third of the league turned over. I mean, who are the best candidates out there? I mean, I think some of the best candidates, if I had to sit here and say it, may not even get a job. So, and then you see guys that are quarterback coaches, guys that have never called an offensive or a defensive snap being considered for the head coaching job. And they're having to do that because there are a lack of experienced guys out there. And then, hey, do you have the discernment as an ownership group to pick the right guy? I mean, do you trust these NFL owners? Did you hear the Buffalo owner get up to the mic and say that he had experienced playoff? What was it? Delirium? What was it that he said he experienced playoff?
So basically, he felt like they peaked in the playoffs, right? Or they peaked in the first and second round of the playoffs, right?
Yeah. I mean, think about that. Think about that. Well, I mean, if you're a Pittsburgh fan and you haven't won, or you're one of these other teams, you want to hear a guy get up there and say that we've got we're not getting it done in the playoffs. I mean, how about get your ass in the playoffs? It's not always easy to do, and so I don't know what these NFL owners think. They all think differently. They're all billionaire guys, and how they see their franchise being run. I mean, I think I saw somewhere the other day where one of these teams is looking for like an essay, or was that something that was just
Cleveland
put out there as BS? I mean, was that really
what?
True?
They wanted an essay. They do a lot of different things in Cleveland in terms of like a personality test when you're there. They make you write out some of your philosophies and how you'd build a team. It's a totally different way to interview.
Okay.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So you feel comfortable about going to work for that guy?
I think
remember
they're going to hire
some of those. I can remember seeing some of those personality tests, and there were questions on there that I'm talking about. I mean, literally might make a sailor blush. And think
I can tell you your personality if you want me to tell you.
It feels like
I said I could do a personality test on you. I could do it right now.
Y'all are too.
Well, go ahead. Hell, let it rip. I mean, go ahead. Get up close to the mic. Let it go.
God,
I'll never forgive y'all for not letting me know that y'all was crazy like this. Together.
He put his glasses on. He's really mad at me now. I can tell.
You see, he's looking down. He don't even want to look you in the face.
No, I got to get on. I got a few text messages here. I might get some up to date info. I know. Hey, I can hear. I can multitask. I'm old, but I can multitask.
With you guys were talking about the Senior Bowl. Obviously the Shrine Bowl just happened. I think the ice storm here really kind of slowed some of the reports and stuff that were coming out about it. You know, I think people are all over the place. So I'm hoping we can get some official numbers and stuff there, because obviously with Dallas being there physically, like a lot of the coaches being there physically, they take the Shrine Bowl very seriously. So we'll see, you know, who they picked up on while they were out there and stuff. Or because when we get to the end, they definitely talk about some of the guys they saw at Shrine Bowl, since it's here in Dallas now.
Right.
Did you see, Marcus, did you see what your boy Pavia measured at the Senior Bowl?
Yeah. Was
A
it
baby.
5097? Yeah.
Leave him alone.
Welcome to the CFL, buddy.
Y'all.
I'm telling you, I'd put him on the keto diet right now and get him some mounts out at Saratoga.
Wait. What was his height and weight?
5097. Was it 199?
Under 5, he can't get on the runaway mine train at Six Flags. In the
well, hold on. I'm just telling you. When we get in a month from now, when we're at the NFL Combine, he's going to be at 5'10". You can bet your bottom dollar he's going to get that.
Nike's going to send him those inserts.
That hair's going to grow up a little bit longer, so you can't push it quite down. Look, he'll be 5'10" at the Combine. Don't you worry.
Him just yittle. Hey man, I mean, even as you get into this draft, I mean, you look at a lot of the corners. I mean, there's some schmiddle corners in this draft. I mean, and they're not little. They're just like not lengthy, you know, a lot of them.
Although, Stretch, I was watching a linebacker at the Shrine practices, Eric Gentry from USC. 6'6", 220 pounds.
6'6", wow.
Nice.
6'6", 220. I'm thinking about that's like a wing defender. That guy should be starting for the Dallas Mavericks, not at linebacker in the NFL.
That would have been my first question. Can you dunk?
Can you set up in the corner and shoot some threes for us?
Y'all leave him alone. What's wrong with y'all?
I like him a lot. Actually, I actually came out of the Shrine practices loving him. That's somebody I'm putting in every one of my mock drafts. So I love it.
Y'all act like two.
I'm going to tell you, this is a true story. We had a hell of a linebacker kid named Frank Blevins, played for us at Oklahoma. He was a hell of a player. He was about, I mean, I'm telling you, he was maybe 218, but I mean, could run, smart. I remember Green Bay come in one day and they told him step over there on the scout, and the scout walks in to talk to Pete Martinelli, who was our strength coach. Blevins grabs 2 5, you know, at the time he had some big baggier shorts on. He grabbed 2 5-pound dumbbells, stuck them in each pocket, and jumped right up on the scale.
There you go.
229.7. Yeah, he went number 229.
That reminds me. Do you remember Patrick? Again, we're getting way off subject. Remember Patrick Watkins, the safety the Cowboys had in the early 2000s? He was all 6'5" and maybe 210 pounds, and that was always the story of like how hard it was for him to get weight on. But yeah, it happens. Some of these guys have weird body types, and that's what we love about scouting and the draft process. You get to see players in all different shapes and sizes going through the rigors of the draft process.
So what do you actually get to glean or take from these games and these? Is it more the practice?
Yeah, the game doesn't matter, and
it's more the practice. Yeah, it's more the practices, the one-on-one drills. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
You know, it's the drills. A lot of these coaches and scouts are just wanting to see, how do guys compete? How do they handle practice? Are they running from drill to drill? What's their attitude? Are they absorbing the coaching? Are they listening? That means so much more than whether you beat a guy at a one-on-one rep, one time.
Yeah, no, like Marcus said, it's just an opportunity for people to get their eyes on these guys and see how they move. Like, I think one of the biggest things that a scout told me is how they take coaching is huge. Like, if you tell a guy something like these coaches are making note of, like, I talked to him about this yesterday. He came back today. He's still doing the same crap, all that stuff. Like, it's very tangible information you get. So I love going to practices. I love the energy that's there. It was just Antarctica outside, and anybody got time for that.
Antarctica. All right. Before we go, Marcus, you and Landon got your show coming up. We're looking forward to that. Iisha, how about you?
Yes, I will be on the stack tomorrow with Brian Broaddus and Zach Wolchuk with Crown Global Media. We'll be talking about defensive tackles, I think, that are at the Senior Bowl this week. So that'll drop tomorrow at 3 p.m. Thursday. I will be on Girls Talk, Boys Talk at 9 a.m. and the stack again at that'll be dropping at 3 p.m. on Thursday, and I will be here with you gentlemen Thursday night. So that's what I got.
All right. Way too fast, but I think we covered a lot, and we will continue to do so with our next show coming up on Thursday night. But until then, Marcus Mosher, Landon McCool, check them out on the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast. Coach, have a good week. We'll do it again Thursday night, and you as well, Iisha. Thank you. Thank you to everybody for jumping in. Lots of good comments tonight. We appreciate it. This has been the Cowboys Squad Show.